Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the What's Update. My name's Elijah, and here's my review of the first episode of American Gods, a new show on Starz. I almost said Showtime. I want to say Showtime because I keep thinking in my brain it's on Showtime, but it's on Starz. What I'll do is I'm going to give you an overview, some things I like, some things I didn't like, and then an MVP, and ultimately just some theories on what's going on in this show. So it's new, it's fun, it's shiny. It gives me a lot of Sin City, not in black and white, meets Spartacus vibes. So any one time the show is shifting gears between Sin City and Spartacus. So that's kind of my summary of what the show's style is like. It's very pulpy, very visually striking. Not always the most substance, but there's a lot of cool things to look at. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about some of the performances. But let's get into first off the things that I liked. The show is pretty interesting. It started in this like crazy Viking opening where these Vikings get stranded on some island, some mysterious island, and they try to explore, and they get just filled with all of the arrows. Like every arrow in the world that existed was there. And then they had this crazy like Spartacus style battle where like the Kool-Aid man would be like, oh yeah, because of how much Kool-Aid was flying everywhere. And when I say Kool-Aid, I mean human blood, but it was so not dark and coagulated that it looked just, I don't know if things are that gruesome, but to me I thought it was a little over the top and excessive, so didn't necessarily like that, but there were parts that were so stylized and cool that I was like, yes, I'm into this. But then like a guy's arm gets severed off and it's like flipping through the air and it's still holding onto the sword and it like goes through a guy's throat like this with like a bicep up here. Like I was just like, oh, that's excessive. So I don't know if because we're in this world post Game of Thrones, post Spartacus, where people like they have to outdo each other, or I don't know, who the visual director was there, but there's times where I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time, and there's other times where I'm like, nope, I'm out on this. Please stop. Whatever you're doing, please stop. So these guys are stranded on this island. They get off by showing this blood sport to, I guess, appease the god of war, Ares. Now, this show is based off of a book, and I haven't read the book, so I don't know anything that's going on. I'm going in blind. But it appears to be about appeasing gods, or that gods are among us, the regular humans, the regular humies, the regulars, the muggles, as it were. It's an interesting show because the main character, this Shadow Moon guy, I'm assuming is a god or a demigod, like maybe Hercules status. He's a jacked dude, very handsome, and he has a wife who dies pretty early. He's in prison with his buddy, who he keeps like kind of flashing to. So I wonder if this is tied into his god power, that he keeps having these dreams or these visions. I'm not too sure on the logistics there or what's actually happening, the science behind it, but that was interesting to me, that he keeps having these vivid dreams. I don't know if they're real. I mean, he saw a bison with flaming eyes. Is that real? Is that fake? Who knows? Who's to say? Maybe it is real. Maybe it's not. Something I didn't like. Oh, there was a scene with this god, and my dude Freddie Rumsen from Mad Men rolls in to a bar, meets up with a beautiful lady, and they get to talking. She takes him back to her place, a red room with many candles, and I was like, oh, dog, get out of there. She's gonna murder you. And in fact, she does murder him, or maybe she doesn't murder him. Maybe she just absorbs his power, or he's just chilling up there. But basically, they start having crazy sex, and this is like a pretty vivid sex scene. Like Game of Thrones doesn't get as, they got pretty into it, but also he got pretty into it because she's a god and she started growing during the sex as she was like, worship me, and he's like, your breasts are like, so like she's like, he's worshiping her during the sex, and she grows in size, and like as that started happening I was like, oh no, don't do it, it's gonna happen. And she swallows him right into her vagina. I never thought I'd see that on TV. I never thought I'd have to say those words out loud to someone, that a lady swallowed someone with their vagina, but a magical god in this show American Gods did that. Vagina swallow. It was disturbing, to say the least. It was not for me. But hey, that great introduction to the show, right? It was visually stunning, let's say that. My dude Pornstash from Weeds and Orange is the New Black is in the show as a leprechaun. Him and Shadow Moon got into a fight in a bar. And I guess I haven't brought up yet the thing that I like most in the show, because right now, after watching the first episode, it was impressive. I'm interested. I don't know if I'm in love with the show or if I'll stick with it. It didn't have the same whoa like certain other pilots of shows have, and I'm just like, I'm all the way in. Like I'm teetering right now. But Ian McShane's in the show, and I would follow Ian McShane into a fire if he told me to. He is a quality actor. He's acting circles around everyone else in the show. He'd act circles around almost, I mean, he's the man. He's the man. So Ian plays Mr. Wednesday. I would assume a god, an older god, it would seem, who's enlisting Shadow Moon's help as his bodyguard, essentially. So I think he's going to wake Shadow Moon up to his godly potential or his demigod heritage. Maybe he's even Mr. Wednesday's spawn. Maybe he's part Mr. Wednesday, part regular human lady. Who knows? I don't think he talked about his parentage. I can't remember if he did in the episode. But Shadow Moon's got a dead wife and gets out of jail early because of that. And I did like the funeral scene. He had some drama in the airport. And I really loved his friend, the guy who was his prison buddy, and it was kind of flashing back to conversations they had with him. And the prison buddy was basically saying, like, yo, you don't mess with the chicks at the airport. That was a hilarious scene. Mr. Wednesday getting on the plane pretending to be old and feeble and like, oh, it was supposed to be first class. And then just gets on, he's in there just like, yo, what up, Shadow Moon? Just like drinking, just real chill. He's like, solid play. And they both realize that they're both kind of cons-ish. And then Mr. Wednesday everything that guy said in the episode was great and solid. The bar scene was amazing where they fight the leprechaun in this crocodile bar. The seats were crocodiles. The bar was underneath a crocodile. It was crocodile bar. I was all the way in on that. I liked that a lot. I didn't like the scene at the grave, and I also didn't like finding out that the wife was cheating on him. She was like, Poppy, I thought initially, but it sounded like the nickname was Puppy. So first thing, I don't like the nickname Puppy, if that was his nickname, because it sounded like multiple people called him that. Terrible nickname. Second thing I didn't like, that the wife cheated. Like, I'm like, aw. Third thing I didn't like was that she cheated with some guy's dong in her mouth, and they both died in a car crash, and she decapitated? She severed the man's manhood in her mouth via the car crash, so everyone found out that they were cheating. And I didn't like I guess it was a good scene ultimately when they hugged at the end, but I didn't like the wife of his best friend who also died, who was the one cheating with his wife. I didn't like her coming on to him. It was telegraphed. It was obvious that she was going to try and bang him after she went and pissed on her husband's grave. Yeah, it was just kind of obvious that was going to happen, but I just didn't love that. It wasn't my favorite part. But then there's some weird stuff, like the fight with the leprechaun dude, and it seemed like he was a leprechaun. He was doing magic tricks with all these coins, and then him and Shadow Moon get into it. I do like that actor, so I'm excited to see that character in the show, hopefully more, or hopefully him and Shadow Moon are homies after they fought it out. He had a Captain Jack Sparrow style doubloon that he lost to Shadow Moon in the fight, it would seem, but Shadow Moon left that at the grave. So are we gonna get some sort of ghost Captain Jack Sparrow zombie wife or ghost spirit wife that haunts him? That's a theory. I should have waited to the theory section, but it just came up. Last thing, I didn't actually like the end scene with the hipster, like Jesse Eisenberg wannabe god who was from the future, who like dropped the VR box and it like ate Shadow Moon, and then he went into a limousine with like faceless tech dudes and all of that. Like I was vibing with the show. I was like, cool, this is gonna be cool. And then that scene happened. I was like, oh, this is weird. This is really weird. This is a weird show. And a lot of the imagery and a lot of stuff in the show was weird. But like when it got to that scene, I was like, oh, so this is real weird. It's not regular weird. It's like for real weird. So that wasn't my favorite scene. But I mean, if that's the main bad or the big bad, I'll just have to deal with it, I guess, at some point. It's fine, but it's fine. It'll be good. Now, we're going to get into an MVP of the episode. It's Ian McShane. It's probably going to be Ian McShane on the show, Mr. Wednesday, every week, because it's Ian. He's such a good actor. Let's get into some theories. At the very end of the episode, we had the faceless robot digital dudes stringing Shadow Moon up and trying to kill him. But it would seem as though Shadow Moon can't die. At the beginning of the episode, there's this guy like narrating, and he's like, it seems like he's the narrator of the whole show. But he was narrating, it would seem, the story of some god of war. Ares, is that Mars, I guess? Or basically, he's narrating, and then he says at the end of it that like their god would appear later. So I think that Shadow Moon's the next iteration of that troop that has to appease their god with blood and war. I think that Shadow Moon's a part of that group or descendant of them, and that the god that he worships or that he is a lineage with needs the violence. So that's kind of what happened there at the end, that god killed all those people for him so that he could go on and pay tribute and you know, not value's not the word, but appease his god. There it is. So I think Ares, or the war god in this world universe, saved Shadow Moon, and he will be his main patron saint, I guess. So that's my review of American Gods. I'll be back next week. Recap. We're gonna stick through at least 4 episodes here probably, and we'll see. We'll reassess then. But it's pretty cool. It's fun. I liked it. Ish. Thanks for watching the What's Update. My name's Elijah. You have a great day. Keep smiling. Down in the description, you can subscribe. You should do that. Like, share, subscribe. Do the thing, Julie's. It makes me happy. And then there's cool things coming to Colorado in the description as well. But our Guardians of the Galaxy show is actually sold out, so you missed out. Oh, but seriously, it's awesome. So thanks for watching the What's Update. My name's Elijah. You have a good one. Bye.